All right. Good morning, everyone. It's Diana Minotti with Diana Minotti Fine Art Antiques and Collectibles. We are estate appraisers and liquidators. I have my husband, Perry Mitrano, here.
Good morning. Good morning.
Perry runs the gallery. We have a gallery show of St. Patrick's Day. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and we have many beautiful pieces in there. We have our Waterford, Belique, and Shannon collection. Let me just pull it up here. So this is a beautiful. I don't know. Is it a brandy glass or is it
Yes.
really a rock glass? It's more of a brandy glass, right? So, and this is made in Waterford, Ireland, where they've been making glass there since like 1767, 1787. So, and they're great artisans, and this is what you want to have when you're drinking, a great Irish whiskey. You want to have that. So,
So I want to also introduce, we have the we're very honored to have you here, Sheriff Rick Staley
Good morning.
of Flagler County. And I'm sure, Rick, would you make use of that brandy glass?
Well, I'm not a big brandy drinker, but because it's in Ireland, my father is was Irish, so
Aha.
and comes from his family comes from Ireland, so that would have an appropriate place in our household for that
Hmm.
reason.
and what about the Belique? We have Belique here, which is also a porcelain made in the town of Belique in Ireland, and it's very popular here in the United States. And I think at one time it was a big trading partner. Uh,
Well, their pottery has been in existence over 160 years. They're the oldest in Ireland. So
Oops, almost had an accident there. Okay.
you bought it.
Yeah, you break it, you buy it. Yeah, we do have that happen on an occasion in the shop. But you can see their beautiful craftsmanship, and then you could tell the Belique stamp at the bottom if you look, if you want to look and see, make sure what you have. Sometimes the Waterford's also signed. It says Waterford at the bottom.
It should be signed. It's
Yeah. Uh,
etched in the
if we're
bottom.
doing the show and tell early, I know a lot of people that have been watching or listening to the show. We do the show and tell at the end normally, but the sheriff has something really, really cool to share with us today. So we want to share that with you. And again, this year is also Bleak, and a lot of times Bleak numbers their item, and so
Well,
it's
the
really
importance,
important.
the reason I brought these pieces, the importance on Balik is the stamp on the bottom, is the color. The color of the stamp denotes what year it was made. So if you do have the oldest of Balik is going to have a black stamp. We have with us, there's a green stamp, a blue stamp, and a brown stamp. So your black stamps run up to 1946. Your green stamps will be from 1946 through 1965. There's a gold stamp to 1992, and then from 93 through 99 are the blue stamps. So it changes through the years, and that's how you can then, depending on its age, and obviously the older it is probably more rare and worth more money.
And then on the final one we have here, you have these rings. Tell us about these rings, Diana.
Well, that's the Claddagh ring, and that's by Donegal, and that's also an Irish um, pottery.
And they liked it so much they actually put it on their table as a salt shaker.
Well, it
But
is. It's a salt and pepper with a
but there's a
with
reason why the ring is facing the way it faces. So, from my understanding, is a single young lady would face the ring in the opposite direction as
out,
opposed to someone who's married. So,
be facing in.
for all of you guys looking for a lovely Irish lady, check in her clatter ring, and you'll know where you go. All
So,
right.
so can I just mention, you can probably get a really good deal on these items right now because it's all free tariff.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And we know that President Trump likes the Irish folks, so he may wane on that one. We don't know. Okay, back to you, Diana.
All right, so that is the sale at the gallery. The sale of the weekend that's going to continue through Monday is the Artist Den of Tropical Delights. And our client is a lovely artist. He's done the paintings are very reminiscent of the Highwaymen, which we've talked about in a previous episode. Lots of tropical items, lots of pinup girls and fun stuff. Betty Boop, It's just a great show, and a lot of collectible items from actually turn of the century to mid-century. There's a little mix of mid-century furniture. It's There is definitely something for everyone, whether you're a dealer, collector, or just
And that is held at the house, and that address will be posted on our
one White Hall place,
right.
uh,
And that will
White Hall
be
Drive. I'm
that will
sorry.
be over the weekend. So the item will be the sale may be concluded, but it is available Monday as well.
Yes.
So, and then we're located at 15 Palm Harbor Village Way, right here in Palm Coast, in Flagler County, and we are located coincidentally right behind the sheriff's office there, the outpost office up on North Old Kings Road. Just go right behind there. You'll see me. I'll be in the shop. I've had people come in and say, "Hey, are you Perry?" And I said yes, and asked me for my autograph. So I guess we're really starting to gain a little bit of ground here. No, I'm only kidding. I haven't had anybody ask, but they did ask for you. I mean, they asked for Diana all the time. It's like, who am I? I'm nobody there.
I
That's
thought
not
I had
true.
some competition there for a minute.
No, no, and I'm going to ask the question at the end. I got a question for you, but it's going to be at the end of the show. So,
Okay.
all
All
right.
right, so we have the sheriff on for it's become this show is all about who we are, what we do, the day in the life of an estate appraiser and liquidator, and the people that we run into, and what are some of the things that come up. And it's very sad to say, but we did have to liquidate a customer, all of his belongings because of a fraud, a scam. He lost everything, about $150,000 on a telephone calls, and he was too ashamed to tell his children, and he ended up having to sell the house and live with a daughter because he really had no money left. He couldn't support himself, and this does happen, and it's scary. And we deal with seniors in our line of business, and they're the ones that are retired and are at home. And so I think the amount of email and text messages and phone calls and door solicitation, it seems like they're getting attacked on all ends. I can remember seeing you at a function and you saying you actually have a task force for this situation.
We do. I created a few years ago, and I just expanded it actually, our cyber crimes unit,
Mm.
which goes after the people that commit these crimes. And then we have our seniors versus uh, criminals, basically, that uh, go after people that commit frauds against our seniors. Seniors versus crime is its actual name. And those are cases that we maybe can't make to a criminal case for fraud. So we turn it over to our seniors versus crime, which is all volunteers in partnership with the Attorney General's office in Florida. And it's amazing how they are able to recover financially back to the victim. Since its inception, over $1 million has been returned back.
Wow.
But the crimes that we're seeing today is more cyber crime related or phone calls and emails. So there's been a current email that's going around that thinks that you owe money to the state of Florida for a toll violation. And it's very, very cleverly done. I received one actually, and I had just been traveling to South Florida. And even though I have E-Pass in my car, I received this. But the reason I knew it, because it had copied their logo. I mean, it really looked legit. But the email said, we can't provide you the photo until after you pay. And I knew
Mm.
then it was 100% fraud because they always take a photo. And if you get a violation in the mail, they're going to include the violation as the proof.
Hmm.
And so I didn't fall for that, but I could see how people in our community could fall for that. And it's a scam that's going around the country. And it's like $6.99 is what they want. We imagine with
Times that
350
by.
million people in this country, that
I had one
how much
yesterday.
money?
I got mine from New York,
Right.
believe it or not. And I saw the email was some crazy email. So I called I called because I googled the phone number, and they actually had an advertisement right in the very beginning that if you're calling about a text or an email, it's false.
Yep.
That, I mean, I didn't even get to talk to anybody. I didn't have to. That's
Yeah.
how bad it really is. Imagine.
Yeah. But so let me tell you though what we're seeing most recently, and it's phone calls that are coming in, and they're claiming to be an FBI agent. We had one last night that was a DEA agent. Says you committed money laundering or there's a warrant for your arrest. It's usually that combination. And if you don't pay this right away, um, then you're going to be arrested. And the clue here is if you didn't do anything wrong, don't fall for this scam.
Right.
But people fall for it and they prey on our seniors in the community. Maybe their faculties aren't quite as strong or they're more,
Mhm.
um, they're less suspecting. Sometimes these are your grandson, your granddaughter's in jail. They need to be bonded out.
My parents get that call all the time. Our son he just turned 21.
Right.
So it's a young boy calling, and they're calling in the middle of the night. Grandma, help me, please. It's your grandson. I'm in jail. I need money. You're woken up in the middle of the night. It's scary.
And they have done just enough information research to where they can make you believe it's legitimate.
Hmm.
So, but here's one of the keys. First off, if you get a phone call like that and they're trying to extort money from you saying somebody's in jail, hang up, call the person because they may have the actual name. Call the person and find out if they're in jail or call the jail, ask what jail are you in? Okay. But the second key on all of these is they want you to go to your bank, get cash out, and go put it in a crypto machine. The minute they say crypto, you should know it's a fraud because government does not at the Sheriff Perry Hall inmate detention facility in Flagler County that I affectionately call the Green Roof Inn. We do not take crypto,
Hmm.
and no one does today take crypto for bonds. So it's either a surety bond, which you pay somebody to post the bond, or it's cash. Those are your only two things at the jail. Um, so last night we had a case. The gentleman lost $10,000.
Oh,
That's amazing.
We got the night before we had a report, $20,000.
Oh my God.
And about 6 months ago, this is really a tragic case. The victim in that case lost $1.2 million. And so, we do have victims. And I will tell you, these are very difficult cases. We have a great team. We are able to track cryptocurrency with software that we have. And there's a lot of intricacies to that. And it really depends on how fast they move the money. Because what happens is you go to your bank. Sometimes they want gift cards. That's another clue, too. If they want gift cards, that's a scam. Um, but generally, what we've seen lately is they talk somebody go in their bank and they get cash, and then they tell them to go to a local business that has a crypto machine, and they put it in the crypto machine for a certain wallet. Everybody has a wallet identifier, and so we need that information of the wallet identifier, and then we have software that our detectives can use. But it's all about the speed. And Diane, you mentioned in the very beginning that victims are embarrassed and don't want to report it, and I understand that, and but we don't want you to be embarrassed. We want to do our best to get your money back, and that requires us to move fast with whatever information you can give us. We know that we identified an individual in Nigeria on one case that we have. The problem when they're from another country is we have to then work with the FBI, who then has to work with the State Department to get cooperation from those other countries. So it's a very long process, and it's not a guarantee that the other countries will even work with United States law enforcement.
So, Sheriff, what does it, who exactly should the victim call in your department? What do you suggest to make it a little easier for them to accept the fact that they took a loss and now they need to tell somebody?
So they need to call our non-emergency number. That's 386-313-4911 and have a deputy sheriff respond. That starts the initial case report, and then it will get assigned to a detective in our cyber crimes unit.
What if you suspect, um, you know, uh, what happens with seniors is if they are borderline, they're starting dementia, they really try to keep it at bay because they don't want to lose their independence. They don't want to have to move out of their house or not be able to drive anymore. Or, if the kids find out, don't tell the kids. And the kids nowadays are not nearby. We're not living in nuclear families. Everything is separated. They're living further and further away, sometimes not in the same state, not in the same country.
Well, they're seniors. I mean, a lot of times we're seniors.
Yeah.
So who has the energy, time, and all that to do it? So
Right. So they're holding back on a lot of that information. But it's friends, neighbors that seem to know more than anybody else. I'll get to a family and the kids they live in New York, but the neighbor down the street knows the house code, the key, the this, where's that. They really know. If you suspect, but can you report anonymously or?
Well, you can't really. Well, you can call or go online to the Florida Department of Children and Family Services, and they have a senior side, and they can accept anonymous uh, concerns to be investigated. It's best though in those kind of cases if you have a friend, a neighbor, or something like that that doesn't want to report it. Maybe you know who a relative is, child is, grandchild is, and talk to them about your concerns. Um, it's the way to protect your neighbor that may be a senior.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's not always the criminal isn't always some unknown person in Nigeria. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be neighbors, and that's why you know it is concerning. I see it all the time.
And we've seen all of the above. But the real key is on emails for frauds. Look at the email who sent it to you. Look at that email line because chances are they're going to make it look like, for example, Wells Fargo Bank. But when you look at the email from the sender, you can pretty tell quickly that it really didn't come from them, even though it has the Wells Fargo logo and it sounds very official. Or if you don't have a bank account at Wells Fargo and yours is at Truist,
Right.
and you get something from a bank that you don't have an account for, that's another clue.
So let me recap before we move on to the next segment. So if you get solicited by an email or a text message or a phone call, and you're a senior citizen, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a senior, but likely it is. If you do, or someone knocks on your door and they're asking you for money, or anyone's asking you for money and you don't know, okay, please call the sheriff's office. Get the deputy out there. Let them help you. Make sure that you're being safe, not being cyber attacked or bullied or anything else. And if you feel like you're bullied, the only place to call is the sheriff, or speak to a neighbor who might help you call them. Okay, so please pay attention to that. We got the greatest sheriff's office in 67 counties is right here where you live, and you want to make sure you're safe. So thank you for that, Sheriff. So Diana, what do we got coming up?
Well, what we there's just I just want to wrap that up on another aspect. The other thing that comes to me all the time are people who want to get an appraisal on an item because they're not sure if it's authentic. And art fraud is huge. and it now we're talking a lot of money because people are trying to reproduce the biggest Basquiat and Warhol or some of the the one percenters, and their artworks sell for millions. And so there are numerous cases in the news and in the courts on that. So I just want to remind folks, we are appraisers, but we are not authenticators. To authenticate, you usually need, if the artist has passed, the estate, or someone who has published a catalog raisonné about the work and is the expert of that particular artist. Because I've had people want me to authenticate, and that's not what we're here to do. We appraise based on what you're telling us the item is.
You may have to start a new division called the Art Crimes Division and deputize Diana to be your.
We might have to do that. In fact, I personally, at my home, I have an item that's framed on my wall that has its own alarm system, whether the alarm is on or not, because it's an 1865 Sharp 4-barrel Derringer, authentically owned. It's been authenticated by Wyatt Earp,
Oh, wow.
along with the napkin that he signed from the Dexter Saloon in Nome, Alaska, when he lost that Derringer in a card game to a guy named Ray Carlton Sr. I have the entire note signed by Wyatt Earp. That's the value part.
There
The
you
gun's
go.
the
There you
gun's
go.
not worth that much, maybe $1,000. It's the signature of Wyatt Earp in that bar napkin.
Yep.
Wow.
That
So
that truly puts all the pieces together. What was he doing in Nome, though? I
He
didn't think he would.
he owned the Dexter Saloon in 1900 in Nome, Alaska, and I have photos of the saloon, photos of him in the saloon. It's all framed up in there. So he was a lawman, but he was kind of a crook too, and he
Renegade.
was correct. He did a little bit of everything.
well, that was a great segue right into our show and tell portion of the show. So on our on the show here, we always love our guests to bring in items. So we're going to get to your item last, but I got a few pieces here that I want to show you, and I would like for you to comment on them. So I have here a 1964 die-cast Mustang. This is one of the first Mustangs. It's not quite the first. This is the 63 and a half would be the first. Okay, and I brought Mustangs in for a reason, and I'm sure if you live in Flagler County, you may realize what I'm talking about. And this one is a Mark One. It's probably a 69 or 71 Mark One series, and this is the car that transformed what a Mustang really is supposed to be about, and that's what the sheriff has. So tell us about your Mustangs.
Well, first, let me mention that when I was in high school, I had a 1967 Mustang two-door. And wish I had that today. It'd be worth a lot of money. But, in the sheriff's office, we have a herd of Mustangs. We currently have 5, and we're adding 3 more deputies to our traffic enforcement unit because that's one of our biggest quality of life complaints. So we're going to have now herd's going to grow and populate to 8. So we'll have 8 Mustangs out there for traffic enforcement. They're slick top. By the time you see them, it's probably too late if you're speeding or driving recklessly.
They are intimidating.
And then we have 8 motorcycles currently. So, we everybody knows what's going on with traffic here. When I moved here 20 years ago, there was no rush hour. There was no real traffic jam. Now we have rush hour.
Yep.
Now we have traffic jams, especially in the 195 corridor area.
They know it. Now, I should have brought in my brothers owned this car. My dad bought one for the 3 of them to share back in the 60s, so that was interesting. I should have brought in a motorcycle, but I didn't.
I forgot my Highway 1 jacket.
Oh yeah. Her grandfather was a Highway 1 motorcycle cop in New York.
Yeah.
Well, with Bike Week just finishing, we confiscated an outlaw motorcycle jacket, a 1%er. He's in prison now.
Wow.
And so we have his jacket, which when you lose one of those, the outlaw motorcycle gang is not very happy.
Wow. So I have in here a Billy Club is what it's called. This is an older one. I have a friend of mine. His name's Gary Carlo. He's a retired sergeant, walked the beat in the 44th precinct back in the days when the 4-4 was really rough. Okay, and he used to carry the long baton, but this was prior to his career, I believe. But what they were used to issue um, in that period was actually this baton. This is rubber with, I don't know, it's heavy, and then also there is a what looks to be a badge number stamped into the baton. This was at one point standard issue. They call it a Billy Club. It had a bunch of other really wicked names I can't talk about, but this was standard option at one point to carry, especially the night cops. It was also called a nightclub.
Right.
I don't, anyway. That's what
And
that's what they have.
probably their uniform pants had a special pocket that those slipped in so they could reach back there and pull it out and whack somebody.
Yeah, I believe it. Do you issue batons for your?
We do. They're a modern version of a baton. It's called an ASP baton that's collapsible. So you can pull it out, hit a button, and it extends to about 2 feet.
Well, everything changes for time, right? Maybe 1920s and 1970s to 1980s. So here we go. So, Sheriff, may I open this up?
Sure.
Oh, this is really exciting. I mean, this one.
Well, let me just add to before you open that.
Yeah.
If you've never been to the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, you have quite the museum.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That
We
is
do.
really impressive.
And it's free to come in and visit Monday through Friday, roughly 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. But you probably need an hour if you really want to look at it. It's in the public lobby. You can just come in. It has artifacts from 1917 to current. A lot of photos on the wall. The very first sheriff.
Well, it's chronologically set up, right?
For the most part.
You go through a walk
Yep.
through time, pretty
Yep,
much.
you can see how tasers have evolved, how firearms have evolved, radios. The very first computer we had in a patrol car is in there. But what I brought today was from the museum. It's a 1950s era crime scene investigation kit. So that's powder, different colors of powder. It might be white, might be black, might be gray. There's even a magnifying glass, the brushes that you use to powder with. So that's what was used back in the 50s for crime scenes. Of course, we have an old camera up there too in the museum. But so between the camera and this, that was about it. So today, while we still have the capability to do this old school crime scene processing, now we have the capability to find DNA. Now what we use is equipment, some that's in our lab, some that can actually go to a crime scene. It uses multiple variations of violet light and different light sources to actually find the fingerprints and the evidence at the crime scene and take a photo of it before, like when you dust with this equipment or you try to get a swab from DNA, that's going to destroy that evidence for using technology like to lift it the old school way. So now we can take an ultralight out, photograph it when it's discovered. Can't see it with the human eyes, but with the light sources you can. Then if we need to DNA it or take a physical processing it, we can do it there. In our lab, we can even now raise fingerprints using, in effect, it's super glue chamber. And that was actually pioneered by my old agencies in the lab, the Orange County Sheriff's Office. And it was highlighted in National Geographic front cover in the mid 1980s when they discovered that you could use super glue with a lieutenant that was just kind of playing around and put super glue in the fumes and the evidence in there, and it attracts the chemicals to the fingerprint, and you have a perfect fingerprint that you can take photos.
Truly amazing, and the common guy did it. That's amazing. So we're at the.
Well, I just want to, before we go, I want to also let folks know that the Estate Planning Council of the Fun Coast, which is a Flagler and Volusia chapter, is meeting on Thursday, March 20th from 8:30 to 9:45 at the Hilton Garden Inn. I'd say get there at 8. You can network with other people in the estate planning profession. It's accountants and attorneys and estate planners,
And who's your
bankers.
guest?
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Our guest is going to be the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. So the sheriff here will be there and Commander Michael Lutz. And we're going to expand on our topic today and bring it to our professionals in the community so that we can all better service our customers and let people know what's going on. So we have that. And then PNC Bank, PNC Private Bank, invites folks to it's called the Palm Coast Arts and Wealth Series, and I will be the speaker. And this was on Wednesday, March 26th, from 11 to 1 at Channelside, which is the old yacht club on Palm Harbor Parkway. If you'd like to come and be a guest, you can RSVP Fern Haley. It's Fern, Fern .Haley, HAILEY, at pnc.com. Fern is the private bank senior relationship strategist, and I'll be there also with their fiduciary officer, Steve Everett. He's coming in from, I believe, the Tampa area. So it's a pretty big to do. It'll be a very nice
I
luncheon.
know you've been talking about this for the last couple of
Well, we've been
events here.
planning it because this takes a lot of planning.
It does.
But we are going to talk about the art market today. And funny enough, the art market today, a lot of it is appropriation art of the past. It should be a really wonderful event.
So can I get to something very important now?
All right, but we don't have much time.
Right. So again, don't forget, meet us up at the at our estate sale this weekend, and also 15 Palm Harbor Village Way here in Palm Coast, right behind the sheriff's office. And speaking of the sheriff, so I'm going to ask you a question. I know it might be early in the game, but it would be exciting if we heard it here first, or maybe near first. Are you going to be running again?
That is absolutely my plan, that I will run for re-election in 2028. It's way too early to file the official paperwork, but I have every intention of running. And I already got my first supporter, which is my wife, who said I can. So that's the first, support I had to get. But that is absolutely my plan. I don't feel that I'm done laying a new foundation and culture for the sheriff's office. We've come a long way. We got an amazing team that works really hard, and crime's way down from, especially considering the growth that we've had in this community since 2017 when I was first took the oath of office. But I'm not done yet. I'll be the Florida Sheriff Association president in 2027. I will be the immediate past president in 2028 into 2029. So I got to run again.
Well,
I got to finish the job.
it's an honor to have you as our sheriff and be on your show. We're very very honored to be your auctioneers at your F seat, which supports your state, the entire Flagler County deputies.
And we
and
really
emergency
appreciate that.
responders.
So thank you very much for doing that. If
Well,
I could just throw out one thing,
Sure.
come see our museum.
You
9 to roughly 4 p.m. It's open Monday through Friday. It's at the Sheriff's Operations Center at 61 Sheriff E.W. Johnston Drive in Bunnell, and our road is named after the very first sheriff.
Oh, that's cool.
Which you're still looking to get the gun added back into your.
I am.
I know.
Yep.
I know
So-
that's a sore point. I'm sorry.
So we have the second sheriff's gun, who was killed in the line of duty. We have his gun that he was carrying the day that he died. We have a couple other sheriff's guns, but we had the first sheriff's gun. And when we had to vacate our building for mold, the owner of that, it was on loan, took it back. But we have a very good, secure building now, and we keep trying to get it back in the museum just on loan. We don't want to own it, but to display so that it'll go with the photo. Because we had the gun in the holster that you actually see in the photo that's hanging up of him and his horse and buggy on how he answered calls.
Great provenance. Well, thank you again, Sheriff. We appreciate you coming in.
And I gotta say, my dad is your number one fan.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
you know.
Tell your dad thank you.
I will. Thank you, folks, and thank you again for joining us. And we hope to see you soon. And brooch of the day. Gotta mention about the brooch. Brooches are back. We got plenty of jewelry at the gallery. So thanks again. Thank you, Mark, for helping us out.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Engineer. Appreciate it.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.